Metrics podcast here at TigersMLReport.com. I'm Rahel. Alongside me is Chris Brown and Mike and Uper and Mike. I already said that already, but yeah, we're off to a rip-roaring start, but I don't think it's anything compared to this ending, because I wanted to play this to start the podcast, because this is fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chicago White Sox.
It all comes down to Miguel Vargas. Swings at the first one. It gets through to left field. One comes in, and we might have an injury. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Tolkman comes up and can't score. He just came off of a hamstring tweak off the IL a couple days ago, and he was unable to get home as he rounded the bag.
Chicago sucks.
Limping, and Cleveland.
All right, well, the Tigers did come off a sweep of the White Sox, so there you go. And, yeah. It's
maybe pinch run for a guy with a bad hamstring? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Do I want to... I want to feel bad for them, but at the same time, they're tanking for Wembley. Nicely done. So, plenty to get to this evening as the Tigers are off to Minnesota and then Milwaukee, and some really good, interesting news out of the farm system tonight as Kyler Montero and Matt Manning pitched very well as they needed a good start. Toledo's pitching staff has been just decimated. And it's not been. Toledo's off to a terrible start. They're among the worst teams among the 4 affiliates right now. But Kyler Montero throws 5 2/3 shutout innings, and then Matt Manning gets his first career pro save, as he has 8 swing misses. Fastball is hitting 96 against a pretty good. Baseball America made the Iowa Cubs their best farms team of all the farm teams out there. So a big win for the Mud Hens, but most importantly, development-wise, Montero looked really good. Slider was spinning at over 2,700. Just everything was working. And the weather is slightly warmer, as I say that, but it did snow last night here in the great state of Michigan. But please make sure you like and subscribe our videos on Motor City Metrics or Tiger Minor League Report, wherever you listen to our podcast. All that goes a long way. So, that being said, where to start, gentlemen? The Tigers take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees, made the third game really interesting. And there was some comments that came out of there from Cole Keith that basically he's kind of down on himself right now, and a lot of fans are being sympathetic towards it, and rightfully so. There's some other fans that are not, but it was the solo homer show, and there was just the amount of power the Tigers have been able to generate early on the season has been pretty impressive. So I'll start with you, Uper. What were some of your takeaways from the series against the Yankees?
Well, one thing I felt just a step away from the Tigers is that the Yankees, in their current configuration, don't scare me very much. I'll tell you. I know Chris picked them to miss the playoffs. I almost did the same thing. I think I got them eking in as the last wild card. But, boy, you watch them for 3 days, and you don't walk away all that impressed. They got a lot of guys. Would they start for the Tigers? I'm not sure. I'm sure they'd play some, but you get past Aaron Judge and a couple other guys, and they're kind of shrug the shoulders at them. But you're right. The Tigers have shown some nice power coming from different people. It's not just 2 guys, with 8 home runs. They got a bunch of guys chipping in. It's been very fun to watch. That was a great homestand. The big comeback against the White Sox really kind of unlocked the week for them. I mean, to get a sweep against that lowly club and then get into that Yankees series was pretty enjoyable.
What about you, Mike? What were some of your takeaways from the series?
I really, really, really love the lack of home runs on the Yankees side because I didn't hear torpedo bats brought up once, except for the fact that we didn't talk about torpedo bats. So, loved that part of the series. It was one of my favorite parts. But really, I kind of voiced to you guys my worry isn't the right word, but I didn't love the fact that Skubal had already given up a couple home runs this year, and he was going to home run happy, best offense in the AL for, first 8 games anyway. Yankees. And I was worried that it might just make his numbers look really bad, and instead, Scooble just tosses a gem with a different catcher for the first time in over a year. So that was kind of cool. I think that was really big. And it really does look like Jack Flaherty. I don't think that it's. I read a lot this offseason that a lot of executives thought that what Jack Flaherty did last year was fluky. And I just think a start like he had in this series was just it. It went a long way to just show you that maybe the starting pitching is maybe in a better spot than it was last year. I think we all think that. It just kind of shows you, Casey Mize off to that start. But I was just happy to get a series win. I didn't expect to win the way that they did. Not only that, shutting out the Yankees. There was a lot going around, people talking about betting the Yankees to not get shut out the whole season because they have such a prolific offense. And then the Tigers did it, 9th, 10th game of the year. So just good series win, good early win for the Tigers.
What about you, Chris? What were your takeaways from this series?
Well, I was going back and listening to last week's show, and we were talking about what would constitute a nice homestand here, and we were thinking, 4-2 is fine, and they go 5-1. You can't get upset about that at all. The Tigers, the starting pitching, we know it's good. They give 1 run against the Yankees, just stellar, and the offense continues to be pesky, like they were at the end of last year. Even that Max Fried shut them down. That was about the best pitching they've seen all year. And they waited him out, and then they got to one of the best closers in baseball, and had a couple things not gone wrong in the top of the 9th, I think, or maybe it was the top of the 8th. I don't remember. They may have pulled that one out too. They do not quit, and it's I don't know. Maybe that's all just a narrative, but it really seems like whenever there's a chance to come back, if they're within 4 runs, they're going to give it a go, and it's going to involve a bunch of walks. And Trey Sweeney came in and had an awesome plate appearance. It just Torkelson continues to play well. It's remarkable that they have one of the better offenses in baseball right now. With Riley Green didn't have a very good series against New York. Colt Keith hasn't done much on offense. They don't have Vierling or Meadows or Torres or Margot right now, and they just continue to find ways to score. It's really impressive.
I think a lot of it is on the comeback.
Yeah, I think one of the,
I'm sorry, Raj. Just real quick. I think one of the nice things that they do is they chase the matchups, right? And I just think they're not afraid to pinch hit for anybody, and they get good at bats late in games, where a lot of teams just kind of stay with a static lineup. I think that's helpful.
The one thing about Hinch is that he does exploit the matchups very well, and that's just. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Are we there?
Yeah,
Are we good?
It seems like there must be some.
I was just going to say
delay.
one thing about Hinch. Man, are you serious? All right,
You're good, dude. Just go for it.
Okay, all right. I do like the fact that if there was one thing about this series, that you limited the kind of shut up Jazz Chisholm, who was just kind of mopping off and what have you, and the cold. Even playing the elements too, it was just it was a good thing to see. And the Zach McKinstry, I did an article on Zach McKinstry because it was something that Joe Kavanaugh, who is a friend of the site, wanted us to look into some of his stats a little bit and look at McKinstry. The fact that he has been hitting fastballs, something he didn't do before, and he's off to a really good start. Again, this is all in small sample size, but still, McKinstry since August 1st has been a plus player, and just wanted to give him some credit for that. And he came through. He had a nice opposite field single, I think in the 7th or 6th or something. I can't remember what game it was. Second game of the first game in the Yankee series. He is exactly what a utility player is. He's just, you can plug and play him anywhere, and that's what Hinch likes to do. And I thought he had a really good series, and Dylan Dingler is just slowly but surely just taking the job. And look, Jake Rogers had a good pick to third base. There's some fantastic, Jake Rogers is perfectly fine. He's perfectly serviceable as a defensive catcher. But this is kind of Dingler's time to step up, and he's going to do that, continue to do that. Tomas Nato, is a guy who's a more than serviceable backup, and The depth, the way they addressed the depth a little bit was fantastic. And Casey Mize just continues to be the splitter is being the splitter. And the splitter is what is advertised should have been now because he's healthy. And I think it's because he's healthy, he's a better pitcher. And to me, Josh is like saying because he has the same amount of B WAR as Bobby Witt Jr. I know right now B WAR doesn't really matter at this point. If he's doing the same, if he has the same WAR as Bobby Witt Jr. in July, all right, we're talking. We're having a little different conversation. But it is good to see that he's doing very well right now. But it is again just anybody the next man up kind of mentality that Hinch has been preaching and it's paying off pretty well so far. But by the way, it was also Josh was talking about Jorge
Petrie. Yeah, he just got called up to Lakeland, and Lakeland made this kind of stunning comeback there at the end of the game, and he got a win in his first outing. So good for him.
How old is he? He's only 18, 19, isn't he?
I think he's 20.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, this is I think his first pitching in the United States. I think he's been in the DSL for the last 3 years. So
Yeah.
it's fun. And it had a fun comeback in general. They were down 6-2 and then just 5 runs out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was the first start for Owen Hall, and he got beat up pretty quick. He didn't finish the first inning. Actually, in fact, he didn't finish the last batter he faced. It was a 3-2 count when Rene Rivera. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was surprised they let him even face that last batter because we've talked about it before. They have a rule that they don't let pitchers throw more than 30 pitches in an inning, at least up until like AAA. Definitely not their young starting pitching prospects. And yeah, he got I don't maybe Rivera was hoping he'd like get a double play, but yeah, got 33 pitches or whatever and pulled him out. It was a bummer.
Everything was center cut, and he was just getting hammered. The ball. I mean, the ball did sound a little loud off the Mets bats, but did McKinstry string just swing Daily Ninjas? I'm not sure, but I know that he is still, as far as like squaring up the ball better. That's what he was doing. He's been hitting the ball. He's not trying to pull the ball as much and just been going with it. So that has made a world of difference for him and his numbers. But it is one of those things too, where as far as like McKinstry goes too, where is he going to play when when everybody Verley and them come back? At this point, the Tigers will have those decisions to make down the road. But it is somebody brought up too, by the way, that Minnesota, Walter Jenkins is now on the 7-day IL, so they can't even stay healthy in the minor leagues either. And
he's been hurt like 4 times already in his very brief career.
That's a Twins tradition.
Perfect for the Twins. Yeah, makes sense. He's there.
Yeah, Twins tradition. Just you know what? If you're banged up, you're a Minnesota Twin, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it's just
Pablo Lopez is out too.
Yeah, it is going to be.
Byron Buxton went home.
Where does he live?
I don't know. I mean, he's from Georgia. I don't know if what happened,
okay.
but he went home for personal reasons. So
well, that's unfortunate to hear.
Jeez.
When he's healthy, he's not going to play. Oh my god! I'm sorry, but like, man.
You know what? Look, most of the time I'll say this. Like, we have had White Sox. We've had White Sox people on here. We had Minnesota. We had our first Minnesota guy in a while. What was the guy's name, Chris? I'm just drawing blank all of a sudden on his name. We had on the podcast.
Dave Brown.
Robert Brown. Dave Brown. Sorry, Dave Brown. Dave Brown, nice guy, really cool guy. We've had some. We had a Twins guy on before. I'm not going to say his name because kind of a dick. But either way, no, he is just whatever. I'm not going to like. If there's one thing about this year going forward, gentlemen, I'm not going to hold back anymore because I just don't care. Like I've been polite about things for a long time, but what has it really gotten me? I just keep a lot of things in, and I'm not going to do that anymore. Just
freewheeling rod. I like it.
Yeah, it's not to mention too, like people treat you the way they, if you get treated a certain way and you don't say anything after a while, it's like, yeah, not going to happen anymore. Anyway, but no, it's just out of all the fan bases, I do feel bad for Twins. I don't feel bad for Twins fans sometimes because do they feel bad for us? Not really. No, it's a great stadium, great time, but either way, depending on your fandom, I know there's a lot of people out there who do not like the Twins, and I think out of all the teams on the AL Central, actually, we should do a poll right now. People that are watching us right now, who is your least favorite team in the AL Central? Darth Roger.
I like it.
I tend to lean. Well, I don't want to spoil the sample, but
Hey, Stan. All right. Anyway, go ahead. All right. You were saying though.
What were you saying, Chris?
yeah, I was going to give my opinion of the team that I dislike the most in the Central,
Okay. Go ahead.
but I didn't want to spoil.
Oh.
But
You don't have to spoil it then. I'm sorry.
yeah, I always lean toward Cleveland. I don't know why. I think just because they tended to. I don't know. Like it goes back to like the mid aughts, right? When it was Verlander and Granderson against like Sizemore and Hafner and all those guys, and it just felt like they were the Tigers. Verlander couldn't get over the hump against Cleveland and Chicago for the first few years, and then I think Cleveland, outpaced them in 2007. Was it that it felt like the Tigers were going to make the playoffs, and then Cleveland just beat them up? But yeah, the Twins have been. I mean, the Metrodome was the worst place in the history of the world. In those years when like the Minnesota would just, 2006 is the one that people remember, right, where they came back and took over the lead, or 2009 when they came back and we won in game 163. It's like, yeah, the Twins, they're annoying, but for me, it's always been Cleveland for some reason.
Okay. So far, let's see here. So Chris says, so I'm doing this the most old-fashioned way. I'm doing this paper. So Chris says Cleveland. Let's see here.
It's a
I'd
tough
say-
call. But
So-
I'll go
Go ahead,
Twins.
you.
Go ahead. Colin says Cleveland too. So we got 2 for Cleveland so far. All
There are
right.
a lot of comments there, yeah. So
Yeah, keep going. Go ahead.
I'm taking
I think that mine is. It used to be Cleveland, but I made some friends in Cleveland, and they're like huge Guardians fans, and I've softened on them recently. I think it's KC for me.
Really?
When they were good and like they were voting their whole team into the All-Star game, like I was like, and it was like the 1 year is fine, and then they did it the next couple of years after that. I don't know, maybe like I guess when I think of not liking a team, I look at their fan bases because ultimately at the end of the day that's what I am. So I kind of identify more with their fan bases, and I don't like Kansas City fans, and maybe that's partially the St. Louis blood in me too. But
Oh yeah.
that definitely that definitely contributes. But
Even
it's
though you got
always-
the benefit of the doubt in 1985 in that call, one of the worst calls of all time there, Mike.
no,
You know exactly what I'm talking about. Don't even.
Yeah,
act
thank
like-
you.
Sure, you're right.
George Stata. No,
Yeah.
George.
Don Denkinger, wasn't it?
I think it's yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. It's been KC for me. KC was always close second for Cleveland
Florida.
anyway. I don't think about the Twins. The only time I think about the Twins is game 163. That is the only time I bring up any disdain for the Twins. Otherwise, they don't matter except, another Twins player is injured. Big surprise. And then the White Sox, I don't think it's fair right now to say they're the most hated team. Like, they have enough problems. So,
I think when the White Sox were good, and they had Ken the Hawk Harrelson there, I think people could work up a pretty good hatred for them for some of those years. But now they're just so bedraggled. I mean, it's hard to hate them right now. There's because you got basically 10 or 11 wins in your back pocket against them this year. So why hate them? I have a hard time hating KC because I go down there a lot for games and then get treated pretty well. And it's just a great environment. So when you started this discussion, KC didn't even pop into my mind as one of the options. It's really either Cleveland or Minnesota. And I'll go with the Twins. So
Go with Twins. Okay.
I
I
don't.
lived there for 10 years, and during 06 was one of them. I was at the Bonderman meltdown game.
Oh yeah, we talked about it many times.
Yeah, and so I'll go with them.
I honestly don't have like a deep seated hatred for any of these teams. We have good friends, several good friends that we've made online and through baseball that are big Cleveland guys. I love Minneapolis as a city. Minnesota is a great place. Chicago's an awesome city. I've never been to Kansas City. A lot of it is just who's good at the same time as you, or who's beating you up when you're down. If there were any fairness in the world, Toronto would be in the same division as the Tigers, and that would be the team like it was supposed to be, and like it was in the '80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
No.
you get your angry Windsor people coming over and throwing Canuck punches, and it's how it should be, but we don't get that.
No, we don't get that. And Dan Fernandez brings up a good point. Target Field is actually pretty nice as Progressive. Both fields are very nice. I went to my first Target Field game last year for actually, ironically enough, those two teams from the AL Central, it was the Twins and White Sox game for a work function. And I like Target Field a lot. It was cool considering the space they have to work with downtown. And then you have Target Center right there where the T-Wolves play. And the T-Wolves are one of my favorite non-Pistons teams because I love their jerseys. I've always loved just the logo and everything. And I was a big Kevin Garnett fan growing up. So I don't have anything. Cleveland, I used to hate Cleveland when I was growing up because Cleveland was always stacked. When the Tigers first moved to AL Central, Cleveland made the Tigers their bitch all the time. It was it was just like, I hated watching those Cleveland teams because they were so stacked, and the Tigers were just basically throwing out Willie Blair and Bryce Flory. All these guys are just like retreads, and the White Sox or the Cleveland was like Jose Ramirez, or I'm sorry, not Jose Ramirez, but Manny Ramirez. You know what? We're gonna have Eddie Murray because we can. We're gonna have all this great talent. Jim Thome, all these guys it was just a stacked Hall of Fame lineup. Then you trade Travis Fryman to them. That was the ultimate FU to me because Travis Fryman didn't even want to he wanted to sign long term with the Tigers, and he hasn't considered himself more of a Cleveland. He's never forgiven the Tigers from my understanding of everything. So, but then as I got older, I gotten to know people in Cleveland. I actually, I don't mind Cleveland that much. The White Sox, same thing. We have really good friends with the White Sox, and I've been to Chicago a couple times. Our former intern Batul was a big Kansas City fan. I don't mind the Royals. The Royals annoy me. Don't get me wrong, but they're not. I don't really. The older I have, the less things I hate. But it comes to the Twins. 1987, 6 years old, watching them defeat the Tigers. A team on paper, the Tigers were a better team on paper than the Twins were in 87. But damn Metrodome. I hated the Metrodome. I hated when the Lions played there. I hated it when the Tigers played there. Still think the Metrodome. I'm glad that place is gone. If I would have been able to spit on it, I would have. I hated that place.
It was. If you were in Minnesota on a beautiful summer day and you had to go into the Metrodome, it was really a depressing thing.
Yeah, it's like going to Silverdome. It's going like the Silverdome's like the Pontiac Silverdome is one of the most overrated. Everybody talks about romanticizes about the Silverdome like it's a great thing. The Silverdome sucked. I'm sorry, it did. I don't care if anybody tells me that people are like, oh, the Pontiac. No. I mean, if you're gonna tell me you're at WrestleMania 3 and you had this like great experience, fantastic. But so did 80 other or 90 now apparently 120,000 people that were there because it always happens every time something happens of a great event. Like, oh, I was there. No, you weren't. Anyway, but I don't really, like I said, if I guess I had to choose a team, it would be the Twins. They're the Target, like I said, Target Field. Target Field's a really nice stadium and everything. I guess it's just from childhood trauma, apparently.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. The '87 Twins are probably the worst team to ever win the World Series. I don't go back much, before like the '50s, and maybe there was a terrible team in the 19 teens or whatever, but that team had no business. They just got really hot at the right time, and there you go. I'm
late to the show tonight, guys, because I was making a cardboard bone saw in case I season.
Yeah, they've talked about that. That's their celebration this year, and it comes from Spider-Man. But I don't know, that movie's 25 years old now. I don't know. That just sounds like something like it was on in like the team flight, or I don't know. It's just kind of funny. But whatever works. Yeah.
No, but overall, so the final tally here in the chat this evening: Cleveland 6, White Sox 4, Minnesota 3, and 1 Kansas City, and that was you, Pap. You're the only one that didn't like Kansas City. So no, I don't think.
Yeah, but I'm from Missouri, so
yeah.
I have a little bit. It's a little bit closer to home than for me.
Oh yeah. No, that makes sense. If you don't even wear any royal blue in your house. If there's no royal blue, there's no nothing in your house. There's nothing that indicate that whatsoever. And if anybody talks about the Chiefs in front of you, you will punch them in the face. I guarantee you.
Actually,
that's not true. Honestly, Chiefs have been my AFC team for like a
Aw.
decade, man. I used to talk about, but I've liked them since they were bad. My favorite Chiefs player was
Priest
Jamal Charles. I
Jamal
mean,
Charles.
again, recent.
What an
Recent.
Like-
I love
asshole.
Jamal Charles.
Larry
But
Johnson.
I loved KC until Pat Mahomes got there. Now I hate Pat Mahomes, and I don't like to talk about it. But
How are you not a
I
Rams fan?
rooted
How
for
are you not a
KC
Rams
my
fan
whole-
though? How would you? Wait a minute. So wait a minute.
Well,
How
I mean,
are you,
if they
Because
moved
my
away,
dad wasn't a Rams fan. What?
oh, your dad
My
wasn't.
dad wasn't a
okay.
Rams fan because they weren't there when he was a kid.
Oh, he was a Cardinal. So he was a fan of Jim Hart and those guys, right?
He would have been a Cardinals fan, but then when
Hart's
they
a Hart.
moved, he's just like, I don't care about football. I don't care about NFL football.
Fair enough. Okay.
My dad really, that's kind of was the attitude in St. Louis. Like,
Yeah.
they were just like, okay, I guess we don't give a shit about NFL football anymore. I mean, that's how they looked at it.
Yeah.
So
I don't blame him. I really don't blame him whatsoever. Closer Matt Manning, yes, Mitchell. We'll get to that too because he had a pretty good outing out in Toledo. 3 scoreless innings of work as the Mud Hens won 1-0, and they're probably the best starting pitching wise in a while. But their offense is continuing to sputter a little bit. But all right, so let's go into the segments. Let's go into inside the numbers.
So yeah, that seemed a little bit longer than usual.
Yeah, I gotta figure out. Like, I'm still getting used to this new program. Chris, what is your inside number today?
So I've got 9 and 3, and this is just kind of off the wall here. But 9 is the number of times in the Statcast era, so 2015, that a Tigers player has put 4 balls into play in the same game that had an exit velocity of 101 miles per hour or greater. So 4 in the same game. Nobody's ever done more than that for the Tigers. Miggy did it 3 times, and of course he probably did it a billion more before Statcast. And then you had 6 people do it who have done it at least once: Riley Green, Torkelson, Jonas Cespedes, Willie Castro, James McCann, and Leonis Martin. So that's the 9 there. The 3 is the number of times it's been done in the Tigers minor league system since Statcast became available there. That's 2021. Gage Workman did it in low A back in 2021. Not surprising, he hits the ball very hard. Riley Green did it in Toledo in a rehab appearance. I remember that game. It was like, okay, yes, this is a big leaguer playing in AAA. He hit the ball a billion miles an hour every time. And the 3rd time was Frangerber Montilla on Wednesday night. He hit 4 balls, 101 plus miles an hour in the same game. And this is a 19-year-old middle infielder who also stole 2 bases and walked in that game. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? You know, like it doesn't guarantee any future success. We've seen with Workman, right? Like, Workman can hit the ball hard, but he didn't hit it hard enough. He is a big leaguer, but, just barely. But just the idea that these are the tools that make us so excited about Frangerber Montilla. Like you don't accidentally hit the ball that hard that many times, and to go along with everything else he does, that's a good explanation for why he's on the border of our top 10 heading into this year.
Yeah, I want to show. By the way, I want to be able to. I want to show this home run he hit yesterday, Chris, because I just thought that, like we thought that maybe I thought for a brief second, that he might struggle a little bit out the gate because
He did for a couple games, and then 2 home runs in 2 nights.
Yeah, and he is a guy who is just an exciting player to watch, and only because like he's such a good slick fielder. He can play second or short. But B, he does crazy things, like the way he's aggressive, like on the base path. It's a nice fresh of breath air. It's just like he's a guy who just like I don't like saying like he's a hustler, but he's just a really fun player to watch. And if you get a chance to watch the Lakeland feed this year, I suggest you do so, or wait till he gets to West Michigan if you're that lazy. But I mean, look at this, just
3-2 again.
Boom,
Fly ball, deep right.
just.
Yeah, it was 107 off the bat, 409 feet to tie the game there, you see, in the bottom of the 10th last night. Of course, then Lakeland gave up 6 runs in the top of the 11th. But, it's just a fun player, and it was just a statistical kind of anomaly that I thought was really, sort of exciting because he's, you look at him, that's not a big kid.
Yeah.
So that's whippy bat speed, and yeah, that's just fun.
Two things from that video. One, Raj, you'll have to confirm this. Fran Gerber means Cooperstown in Spanish, correct? Is that true?
Sí. Sí.
But,
Yo creo
for
que,
a
yeah,
serious
sí.
note, they had the chalk lines on the pie wedge behind second base there.
Yeah, they
Yeah, they called it the
reintroduced
pie
that
wedge
this year.
tonight, didn't they? Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, they had that a couple years ago, and I thought they tried it for one half of the year, and it's basically the idea. It's a more exaggerated banning of the shift. Whereas, you see in other leagues, you can't be on the other side of the bag, but you'll stand a half a foot away or an inch away and then move as soon as the pitch is thrown. On that, you can't be past the pie wedge until the pitch is thrown. So, I hadn't heard anything about them bringing that back, and I was going to joke about it when we talked to Zach Sardenik, the announcer. Like, hey, we remember that, and sure enough, it's back. So I don't know. Whatever. It looks a little silly to me on the field, but
It's different. There's no doubt.
All right. Uper, what is your inside number today?
My numbers are 0 for 5 and 5 and 350. Guy I've been really enjoying watching since the last 2 months of last year and into this year, Jackson Churio of the Brewers. And we're going to see him next week against the Tigers. The big news with him was he went 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts on opening day. And you know how people get on Twitter like, oh, what's wrong with him? Well, nothing's wrong with him. He's hitting 350 since he's on a 12-game hitting streak, showing great power. So I'm ready to see how the Tigers pitching staff takes on Jackson Churio next week. That should be really fun to watch.
Yeah, that's a good call up there. Mike, what is yours? Mike? Yo.
oh, I see his mouth moving, attempting to move.
Yeah. Are you
Oh
muted?
my god, I remuted myself.
Okay.
I unmuted and then remuted. So you spoiled it a little bit with Stan there. My numbers are a little bit different, but they're 575 or 223. And those are the ranks of each individual slash line for the Tigers offense right now. First for the MLB, second one just in the AL. The only difference I have is the Angels had a crazy game where they just smacked 4 home runs in the 5th inning, 6 home runs overall in that game. So they ended up pushing ahead of the Tigers overall in the AL for OPS anyway and slugging. But the Tigers are the number 3 overall in OPS, and in the MLB, number 2 OPS in the AL.
Impressive.
And I had to be the one to bring it up because I talked a bunch last week about how I don't think this is going to end up being. Ooh, nope. Sorry, I thought I had to sneeze.
Okay.
I don't think that this is going to end up being. It's going to be worse than a major league average offense, is what I was saying last week. But the Tigers, without all the guys that we've listed previously, Torres played 2 games. Beerling's out. Parker Meadows is out. Perez just moved to the 60-day DL. Like they have lost some guys. They're still doing this well on offense, and Colt Keith's in the toilet right now too. They're tied for 7th in home runs overall, 4th in the American League. And I just also wanted to touch on Zach McKinstry. Roger did write a piece on him for Tigers Minor League Report, but so he, you can get more information there. But it's crazy. Zach McKinstry leads the Tigers in most offensive categories. We brought it up. He leads he's tied with Bobby Witt in B-WAR, which also leads the Tigers. So they're doing it in a lot of different places, and I'm impressed, considering I've done nothing but talk trash about this offense for months, the entire year. So, I love being proven wrong, especially in this case.
Yeah, that's, and speaking of being proven wrong, my number is 2 and 11. So the number 11 represents an amount of times last year in about the same time span, about give or take a few at bats of Javi Baez, how many times he struck out last year. And the reason why I mentioned 2 is he struck out twice, at least 4 times in that time span. This year, he has not struck out in a game. I mean, he struck out for the first time twice. He struck out 3 times the other night, but he had a hit against the Yankees in the series finale. He struck out 3 times. But that was the first time he struck out more than twice all season long. Last year, like I said, he did that 4 times in the almost the same period of time. And he's batting 321, 345, 393 with an OPS of 793. Give or take from last year around the same period of time. I'm going to go, just like I said, based off, let's see here, what was it? So 33 at bats, or 35 plate appearances, 152, 171, 152 OPS of 323. So so you had 35 plate appearances, right? Last year at the same time, or rather, same time frame, rather. I'm explaining this horribly. Sorry, folks. 29 plate appearances. So, give like less, but he's still. I mean, you still have to, all things considering, he's seeing the ball better. He's doing, and he had a really good play the other day, to start up a double play. And Baez has been a plus defender at short. And, I mean, I'm not sure if he had any opportunities in center field. I did not see that. But he's been solid at third base. So, yeah. I'm not saying is he back or anything, but it's just good to see. And the Tigers definitely needed that.
Hey, I haven't seen him swinging wildly like he usually does. I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but like, I feel like I'm seeing more professional at bats out of him, which, man, I really didn't think I'd say.
Maybe he talked to former Red Wing, what's his face, Pavel Datsyuk, and got LASIK. Remember he used to do his LASIK commercials? Dr. Bonanti, you should see. You should.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Who was it? Was it Dr. Yaldo? No.
Was it Dr. Yeldo? Yeah, I think it was Dr. Yeldo. Maybe it was Dr. Yeldo. Dr. Yeldo. Like he. It's just weird because the most random thing you see Pavel Datsyuk do was the LASIK commercials. Anyway, either way, it's a good story.
It seems like Baez is, and this may just be a sense. I haven't looked at the numbers either. He looks like he's trying to go the other way occasionally. They're not all big swings to pull the ball, and that has to be helping a little bit because he's had a couple hits the other way and they've been timely. And we've said it for 2 years, right? If he can just be slightly below league average offensively, his defense makes him a very usable player.
Yeah. By the way, everybody's we had some
Dr. Romani, yeah.
Is Dr. Romani okay? All right.
Yeah.
We get some comments, by the way, but people like your upgrade there, Uber. Dr. Romani. Okay, so it's Dr. Romani. Okay. It's not
the
Dr.
D in the
Yeldo,
background?
okay. Yeah, the D,
That was
That's
a
pretty
birthday present from my wife and daughter.
Yes, happy belated birthday.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so it is kind of a nice little change in the background as opposed to the refrigerator that you guys have had for years.
Yeah, it's a nice. So everybody's telling me it's Dr. Romani. Yes, I know. Thank you. Sorry. But I was just thinking of Dr. Yaldo, too, because Dr. Yaldo was popular around the same time. So either way. All right. But it's still very weird for him to do those commercials. So, yeah cool. All right. Let's move on to our next segment, Good, the Bad, the Ugly, because there's a lot of ugly this week. Between here, let's just say from here to Jupiter. All right. Mike, what is your good, bad, ugly this week?
Oh, muted again.
Muted again, Mike.
Goodness, it's because I'm typing. I got a loud keyboard. I'm trying to keep notes. I'm sorry.
All right.
Thank you. So for my good, just worth highlighting, Dylan Dingler. Again, we've kind of touched on all this stuff. We usually do, and I'm not mad about it. I feel like it just means I prepared well. But Dylan Dingler, I mean, I'm sure you've all heard the story, but he had to fill in for Jake Rogers an hour before a school will start against the number one offense in the AL. And instead of panicking, the dude goes 2 for 3, hits a home run, and helps call a great game for Skubal. And Skubal has the best outing of the season so far. It just, it's easy. The draft from 2020, It's a very unique draft, and we have a couple guys from that draft already, Cole Keith and Spencer Torkelson. But maybe we're forgetting about Dylan Dingler. Maybe, we're not, but just we're seeing that draft class still has another guy that really looks like he could really be a stud. I don't know, like just seeing him be this good offensively and hearing the way that the Tigers talk about him as a catcher too. It's really crazy to hear. It's amazing to hear.
Yeah, considering that last year the Hinch kind of was, he was kind of in the doghouse in a way during spring training. He said he wasn't ready. He was one of the first ones to be sent down, and he took it seriously and he improved on his game. And you already knew defensively he was a good catcher, but offensively that's where he struggled. Continue.
There's a nice, if anybody's so inclined, The Athletic does a nice piece on Dylan Dingler, Cody Stavenhagen. If you want to go check it out. And it's about how he writes everything down in a notebook, just a peculiar dude. But it's interesting read if you're interested in that. But my bad is the Atlanta Braves. I did pick them to win the NL East. It went in our little prediction show. They're the only team with a worse record in baseball is the White Sox. The White Sox are 2-10. Otherwise, it's the Atlanta Braves at 2-9 right now. It's tiny sample size, but the last time Atlanta was as many as 6 games out of first place in the division was May 2017. I know it's 11 games, but like that's a long time. It is 8 years. It doesn't matter. It's never been this bad. They haven't had Spencer Strider. They just got Sean Murphy back off the IL. They're getting Acuna Jr. back. Like, I think they're going to be okay. I think that they're going to be fine making the playoffs. But I also think, even though we're this early in the season, it's really weird to say that they're 6 games back, and it's really tough to put yourself in that position when you have the Phillies and the Mets. It's not a good position to be in this early in the season for the Braves.
And the Braves struggle again. They're Mike doing my Chip Curry impression there.
I honestly think they're going to be fine, though. I want to put that out there. It's bad now, but I think they're going to be totally fine. The ugly for me is, for some reason, it always just ends up being injury related. But the Mariners are another team that have not gotten off to a hot start. They're 5-8. And they just lost a couple guys. I was showing you guys the video of Victor Robles getting hurt. He did a little half jump to catch a great catch in right field in Oracle Field in San Francisco. But there's like a little half wall back there. If you guys know what the right field kind of looks like, it's like it's a little half wall and a net. And he kind of hit it at the perfect time or the perfect angle, and he shattered something in his shoulder.
Ooh.
And this is a guy I think I read he led the Mariners in OPS at the end of last season because they were so starved for offense. So he was an important piece for them in a team that's still starved for offense this season. And then they also lost another young guy, Ryan Bliss. He had a bad swing against Houston, and he tore a bicep. He's going to be out for months. I think 3 to 4 months at minimum. Robles is out minimum of 12 weeks, whether he has surgery or not. If he has surgery, it'll be longer. Unlike the Braves, I think that this is just a bad start of what is probably going to be a really, really long season for Seattle, in my opinion.
I agree with that.
Totally fine to make up the slow start, but getting hit with these injuries, and they're just not looking good right now. I don't see it.
I was gonna say the overall vibe in Washington right now, because I work out there. Well, technically because I work remotely, but I talk to people in Washington all the time. They're sick of the Mariners right now. They're sick of the bad start. Right now people are getting more the Kraken right now than the Mariners, and so it's been interesting to see because the Seahawks are going to forever be the most number one thing. Seattle's a really good sports town. The Sounders do really well. The soccer team, the MLS pro team does really well. But the Mariners are right now. The Mariners were king for a long time, but they're in a kind of wane a little bit there with that. So, Uper, what is your good, bad, the ugly this week?
Good. I want to hit on the torpedo bats again. Last week we talked about it, and some of it kind of came to fruition. They brought the torpedo bats. They faced a good pitching staff in Detroit in cold weather, and all of a sudden, the ball's not flying out because of these magic bats. We've all been around this game long enough to know, especially on the amateur level, people talk about these newfangled bats and they're going to warp the game. The game defends itself pretty well. Okay, and once home runs started to regulate a little bit in that lineup, they had that incredible start. The Yankees, especially. We'll see what happens down the road if the torpedo bats make a comeback as the weather warms up. But I think we showed the Tigers showed that good pitching can beat good hitting no matter what kind of bat they're swinging. So I thought that was a good part of the week. My bad is the White Sox. It's always easy to take the White Sox, right? That's low hanging fruit. They had the winless road trip, lost 8 straight. Their record now is 2-10, which matches their record through 12 games last year at 2-10. So not pretty. When they won a couple games in the first week, the announcers had a little ray of hope, but they have pretty much poured salt all over that. My secondary bad is Justin Verlander, sporting a 7 ERA right now. But I will tell you this: he struck out 9 guys in 5 2/3 the other night. I watched some of that. I thought he was looking pretty good. I mean, he had a couple really soft hits that he allowed, and that kind of killed him that night. But I wouldn't worry about the ERA. I think Justin has a little bit left in the tank, but he's off to kind of a bad start. And then my ugly, I have a video I was hoping Raj could play. This is Mike, being a part-time Cardinals fan, might really hate this. This is a pop-up from yesterday. It's a 0-0 game in the 8th inning.
Popped it up.
And
Where it was initially. It still
the
doesn't.
first base and third catcher are going to run into each other.
A big time collision and out at the plate.
And they called him out at home.
Heads up play by Hayes, but that was a big time collision.
Now, here's what's happening.
Andy Rodriguez came flying in from first base.
You all know this. And I'm in the tank for most of them. The umpire blew this one. That was definitely an obstruction on the 2 guys who were laying prostrate in the base path. And the runner, Sagazi, had to go around them. His path was altered without a question about it, right? Now, the umpire, I'll say this, he moved in the right spot. He got the fair foul call right. A lot of shit was going down there. But he just plain missed the fact that those 2 guys were laying in the base path, and the runner had to go around them. So, yeah, the guy made a heads-up play and made the tag, but he should have been ruled safe for obstruction on the base runner. The umpire missed it. Now, a couple things. I don't know why it's not reviewable. It's kind of stupid. I mean, if they would have taken a look at that play, I guarantee they would have said, "Oh yeah, that's obstruction." Okay, the runner was obstructed. I'm also amazed that they didn't have a meeting, and one of the other umpires kind of took over the situations that no, he was obstructed, because there was a lot of stuff happening. Guys were laying around, the ball's flying around, they're making a tag, the runner's coming in. Okay, he missed the obstruction, but someone should have been able to help him out. I didn't understand that. That was a 0-0 game in the 8th inning. That run was huge. The Cardinals would go on to lose that game in 13 innings. So usually I say one call does not decide a game. Very rarely. That one might have been one where they messed up.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if the runner should have just run right into him. Right?
Yeah.
If they're flying on the field, just bump into him, and you're going to, I don't know.
Probably so, or jump over them. He could have jumped over them because they were prostrate on the ground, so it would have been legal to leap over them. When you're flat on the ground. You can't leap over somebody who's standing or even on their knees, but you can leap over guys who are laying down. See what happens? When there's 2 runners, when there's 2 defenders, you have obstruction, because only one defender can be what's called the protected defender of the play. So if there had only been one guy there who fell down trying to field that ball, that wouldn't necessarily have been obstruction. But once there were 2, they both can't be protected. So that would, if you would have ran into them, it would have been obstruction. Now, there doesn't have to be contact for obstruction either, which is why the umpire should have called it anyway. But yes, if he would have created the contact, he probably would have got the call.
Oh, interesting.
The brutal collision.
Yeah.
Raj sent that to me, and I was like, I've never seen a collision like that in the infield. I've seen some bad outfield collisions, but Indy Rodriguez, what are you doing?
Right.
He came charging in there like a bat out of hell, man. It was something.
Yeah. Chris, what is your good, bad, the ugly?
So Mike touched on the 2020 draft a little bit. My good is another player from the 2020 draft. It's Tyler Soderstrom, who is the Oakland Athletics first rounder in 2020, 26th overall. We saw him a bunch in Lansing a few years ago because Lansing's Oakland's high A, or it's the Athletics high A affiliate, and it's just kind of a classic case of post hype production. Oakland brought him up to the big leagues in 2023 when he was clearly very not ready, and he was terrible. He was one of the worst players in baseball that year. It was like -1 WAR in 45 games. He hit 160, and that allowed him to, exhaust his rookie eligibility.
Sorry.
And then last year he was like marginally better, but I think he hit 230 with 9 home runs. But this year he's on fire coming out of the gate. He's hitting, what is it right now, 354 with 6 homers through 13 games while playing exclusively first base. He's one of the, by WAR, he's one of the best players so far in baseball. Still only 23. And meanwhile, the A's have Nick Kurtz in AAA with 6 home runs in 10 games, hitting 360, 380 or whatever. Now he's got like 12 strikeouts and 2 walks or whatever, so who knows. But suddenly Oakland or the A's are
they're just the A's, right?
They're just the A's. They're playing in Sacramento. Nick Kurtz is in Las Vegas, where he'll be playing in a few years. But suddenly they have like 2 all-star looking first basemen in the pipeline. So I don't know. It's good for A's fans in whatever city they may live. My bad is Eric Fetty. Again, it's early in the season, so these things can change dramatically. But Eric Fetty was he's a fun story last year. He was a former first round pick too, I think, of Washington. And could just never strike anybody out. Was just kind of consistently like a 5 ERA guy. Went off to Korea and was like the best pitcher in the league. Won their version of the Cy Young. Seemed like he figured something out. Came back last year and he had a really good season. But for both the White Sox and the Cardinals. But so far this year, he kind of looks like the guy he used to be. It's an ERA. It's only like a 4.2 ERA, but the FIP is like 5.8. He's 3 starts, 15 innings. He's got 8 walks and 5 strikeouts in 15 innings. It's very Mike Pelfreyan. So we'll see what happens there. But he may, like I said, it's early. He may figure it out, but it does feel like he's kind of regressing back to who he used to be. In my ugly, and it's funny you touched on this. The Pirates game. It's just the Pirates. They had 2 ridiculous PR fumbles in the last week or so. Just absurd. The first one was they had a sign or something on the wall as a tribute to Roberto Clemente, and they replaced it with like a fizzy alcohol drink ad. And people complaining. They're like, oh yeah, we'll put it back. What kind of drink is it? It's
Sunset. It's Sunset.
Surfside
or Sunset, something like that. Some people have some stupid looking hoodies for it, or actually cool looking hoodies. Yeah, go ahead.
That was the first oh boy. It was a disaster. They're like, oh, we'll put it back. We didn't mean it. And then like a day later, this story comes out about these Bucko blocks or whatever. This sound like something kids play with, right? It's Bucko bricks that people had when they built PNC Park. It was, we've seen this all sorts of other places. You can get, I think they used to have them in front of Comerica too, right? That you can get like your name or your loved ones or something, a message on a brick, and it's there by the ballpark. And people paid for these. It meant something to people, and the Pirates did some renovations. They just took those things and threw them in the recycling. They showed up at like recycling centers, and people were furious again because they hadn't been informed about this. So now the Pirates, they're backtracking on that one again. I don't know what they're going to do with bricks, but they're bringing them back from the landfill. Just a bunch of own goals there in Pittsburgh for an owner who's among the worst in baseball, and it's a shame because we know Pittsburgh sports fans are very, very passionate. Steelers fans are crazy. The Pirates have a long and illustrious history. They just they're not being well represented at all by their organization right now.
Yeah, Bob Nutting just nutting in his pants. I mean, that's just what he does. He's just an idiot. Like, just flat out, like, just what do you? Come on, for all the history that this organization has, go just to make a buck. Come on, jeez, oh Pete, embarrassing. Seriously, I know.
Messing with Clemente is just as bad too. I mean, that's brutal. I mean, just brutal. I mean, the cornerstone of your franchise. I mean,
yeah, the guy literally died trying to help people out.
Yeah.
You know, in another country, and you're gonna do that to him for some stupid wine 0-calorie bullshit? Get out of here, man.
You gotta understand though, the fizzy alcohol.
Oh yeah, soccer moms everywhere appreciate it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But before we get into the good, the bad, the ugly, I do want to discuss Octavio Dotel, who tragically passed away in a nightclub where the roof collapsed on him. It was one of the most horrific things I've seen in a long. I mean, there's been a lot of weird tragedies and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong, but the guy was out celebrating, and I believe somebody else's sister was there too.
Nelson Cruz's
Nelson
daughter.
Cruz, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it his daughter? I thought it was sister. Oof.
Maybe a sister.
It was the sister. Yeah, she was the mayor or the governor or something.
Yeah. Dotel had played for a lot of teams, but he spent his last 2 seasons with the Tigers. I remember him vividly with the White Sox too, but he was one of the first relievers that the first time I ever went down in the clubhouse when I was working at the Ticket was he was there. So yeah, it just sucks, and the whole thing just sucks. So
yeah, it's a bummer. It's like you said, these freak accidents. Although I will say, and now he's that's what the country he lives in. But like rule number 1 for me is never go to a discotheque in a fork country. I'll tell you that. It's always something bad happens at a discotheque or a dance club. I don't know why. They're always catching on fire. Did they explain why the hell that roof collapsed?
I don't think so. I didn't see anything of it. I mean, no. I mean, I went to so imagine being in a place like, so I'll relate this to everybody. Okay, imagine going to the UP, right? Mm-hmm. And right now the UP is in bad shape with all the ice that happened. But let's say you're in the middle of the UP, and there's a discotheque in the middle of the UP. When I went to Spain, my cousin's cottage was like 2-3 hours outside of Madrid, and there's not a lot of running electricity. It's just like rural, very rural. But right in the middle of town, like in the part of town, like where my cousin's cottage was, you go and you see this like blinking, like you can hear the music because it's so quiet out there. There's a discotheque for teenagers out there. I was 14, 15 years old, and it was a discotheque right in the middle of that. It was one of the weirdest, coolest experiences ever because I was just like, it was just something out of like, I felt like vampires were going to come out of nowhere because it just seemed like a whole setup that like just too good to be true kind of thing. That's the kind of imagination I have. Anyway, but yeah, it's just, getting back to baseball, that's just, the whole thing sucks. And so
a nightclub in the UP. Marquette would have been JT Shaft, by the way.
Enrique Tony Blanco, former national players, died. Well, thank you, Matt. I did not know that. That was
221 people died.
221 people died.
I've got the wiki open. It says 228, so somewhere around there.
Wow.
So we too said he'd been to that club. So, Noah, by the way, he's going to be going to the 2 games against the Royals and Padres soon. That's pretty sweet. Those are 2 teams you want to watch. But yeah, that just sucks. All right. Well, there's no segue into into this necessarily, but there was a comment that a Tigers former player's father said once, and that's when his son is playing, the only thing that falls that's catchable is rain. And the only thing that falls in the outfield, in Tigers outfield when this guy plays, is rain. That would be Mr. Ladies and gentlemen, Derek Hill, who has found a home with the Marlins, in addition to another former Tiger. We'll get to, former Tiger prospect in that case. But anyway, take it away, Derek Hill, because this is one of the best catches I've seen in a long time.
Deep, really deep. Hill dives! Whoa! That's one of the best catches you'll ever see. And he made a sensational one here last year. Holy cow.
Yeah.
When he did stuff like that in Detroit, he was hospitalized most of the time.
Yeah.
Without the DL.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that's 100% very true. And you know what's funny is that like I always think of like him. Anytime he would, anytime he'd do that, just instantly would just go, "Oh," like he would, be cringeworthy. Then the next day, the very next day, Marlins Mets, and this is another former. This is a guy who never made it with the Tigers, but he was in Erie. We saw him have a 2020 season. Mr. Dane Myers, former pitcher for Rice, was he at Rice, right, Chris?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, just make sure. All right, this is Dane Myers deciding to say, you know what, Derek Hill, hold my beer.
Deep. Myers is going back, still going back. Oh my goodness, Dane Myers!
Yeah, just
Fly ball in the air.
just insane.
I had no idea he was playing center field these days.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a heck of an athlete.
Yeah.
He was. Did he go 2020 the other year? Yeah, I mean with
Yeah.
Erie, that was just one of those ones. I think he slipped through the cracks when they made the front office change. Right, like there was just kind of some people got away. But yeah, those catches were ridiculous. I thought for sure he was going to get severely injured on that when I saw it first, and then he just kind of popped up and was fine. So that's impressive.
So, but we continue this Marlins theme, good, bad, ugly this week. As the bad would be the number 22, as the Dunedin Blue Jays defeated the Jupiter Hammerheads by scoring 19 runs on 9 hits, 22 walks, and 3 hit by pitches. The Jupiter Hammerheads are the Marlins' single affiliate in the Florida State League. The Marlins are also trying to hold out a tryout for players so they can kind of be cheap about things. That continue to amaze me how I think the Marlins are probably, we've done the show for a decade. I think the Marlins have been on or good and bad and ugly probably maybe more than any other team. Maybe I'm not 100%, but I think they're going to be more than, they're going to be a lot of times this year. But 22 walks. Imagine it's like, you know what? To me, it's the equivalency of you play beer league softball, and you don't even get a good pitch to hit. You just get walks, and it sucks because you know full well all you want to do is just smash the ball somewhere, and you can't. That's the only thing I can equate it to, or little league where you face a team, and yeah. Anyway, and then really it's just the announcer too. Your announcer is like, dude, I'm over this. I'm sick of this. I'm over it. What was everybody doing? Yeah. So, and then my ugly this week, really, I was thinking about, I mean, the hotel thing, obviously, that thing, the whole thing sucks. But if we're going to stick with baseball related things, it's the Colorado Rockies. You know, the Rockies are, here's the thing. You look at the rest of the West Division. The Padres are off to it. Stan mentioned this earlier. The Dodgers are sitting in third place at 10-4. The Padres are 10-3. The Giants are 9-3. Arizona 7-6. Competitive, right? Competitive. You know, like you're sitting there going, all right, my team. I feel good about my team. If you're the Rockies, F that. I mean, there's nothing to indicate this team on the like just this roster alone. This is gonna be a bad. I mean, this is gonna be a bad club this year. I just don't see anything redeeming about the Rockies right now. That, like, I know they just called up their best prospect.
Zach Veen.
Yeah, Zach Veen. Hooray. Cool. But they have these guys in a rotation. Imagine being Herman, Marquez, who I wanted the Tigers to have had for a long time. You're wasting away on this rotation. But Antonio Sendera, 14 innings, 27 hits allowed. 27 hits allowed. His FIP is 4.64. You're just some of the staff just is just a bad team to watch, and I'm sorry, folks, but I know that the division is very competitive. I get it, but come on. I mean, you're in for a long season if you're a Rockies fan right now, and I don't see that farm system pursuing anything that just seems to be. What's up, Chris?
Oh no, Dollander.
Chase Dollander, yeah,
was
that's
fun.
Yeah,
And I thought that I feel like Feltner is like a no-name pitcher that's pretty good, but yeah, that's another, like, there's no hope on the horizon there either. Like, I guess if you think Veen and Dollander are going to take you to the promised land I mean, Charlie Condon had a brutal pro debut, and then he got hurt this year. So that was going to be your next star, and who knows, it'll even work out. But
Tovar's not really turning into a star.
yeah, he's way too aggressive.
I mean, I don't think Chase is going to be the end-all, be-all solution either. I mean, it's just that they can never develop pitching. I'm sorry, they can't. And prove me otherwise. I mean, Herman is the best case, and I don't say his best case because obviously that's just a total extreme thing to say, but they just cannot, I don't know. To me, I do like Tyler's idea. Tyler said something here in the chat. He said, I've been saying this for years. The MLB should consider implementing
Relegation.
Yeah. Cannot talk. Like the European soccer, send the worst 2 teams down to AAA and bring the best 2 AAA teams in the MLB. If there were 2 AAA teams that are independent, that would be not bad of an idea. But it's,
yeah, I mean, you can't really do that because it'll be like, it'll be Colorado.
That's what I'm saying. Like, let's do 2 teams
with
for Indy. Yeah,
Colorado Springs or whatever, year after year.
Yeah, no, it is embarrassing, and I'm sorry. Even with Chase there, I just don't see that happening. And so every team you can sit there and say, okay, well, the Astros right now, and Stan mentioned them earlier, they're out, like they're batting 202. You definitely can see that they're missing the power and what have you, but they have enough there to make themselves entertaining at least. Colorado, you just go and you're just like, So, I mean, they draw well though. The Rockies still draw really well. Their fans are loyal, but maybe they're just kind of getting over it right now though. But
it's a beautiful park and a nice part of town, and a lot of stuff to do after the game.
It's part of the experience. It's when you go to the Rockies game to watch them lose. You don't go to watch a competitive baseball game,
Yeah. What do you say, Chris?
Yeah, it's kind of Wrigley-esque over there. The people just go no matter what. They have a good time. It's beautiful weather usually and plenty of beer.
Gummies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mile High City for a reason. So, but anyway, that is a good, the bad, the ugly for this week. And again, rest in peace to Octavio Dotel, the former reliever of many teams, but he was, like I said, everybody loved him. There were some really good pictures of people standing with fans and everything too. So that was just, the whole thing just sucks. So, so the Tigers let's go into the season. Before we get out of here, let's preview the series against the Twins coming up this weekend as the Tigers do an old school American League. Well, technically, no, the Twins were in the American League West, but either way, just an old school American League feel to it because they play the Brewers right after this, as Uper mentioned earlier. And so let's look at the schedule for the Tigers coming up this weekend. As hopefully, I'm not sure what the temperatures are going to be in Minnesota.
I thought it was supposed to be warmer.
Supposed to be warmer? Okay, all right, good. It's just
Twins are bringing up David Festa tomorrow night to pitch that game.
Who, the Twins are?
Yeah.
Okay.
He struggled a bit in the majors, but he can strike some guys out. I mean, if anything, the Tigers are, Green and Torkelson have been striking out a bit as successful as they've been.
Yeah, his last start against the Tigers, he went 5 innings, allowed 9 hits, 7 runs on 9 hits, and struck out 6. Those 3 home runs that doomed him, and that was on July 3rd, back on July 3rd. So Reese Olson will get the ball for the Tigers. Has not his last start against Minnesota, 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, and 9 strikeouts. So should be a good matchup for that. And Cole Keith, in terms of Cole Keith too, I know we didn't really mention that too. The good, the bad, Scoob, Bad Keith, Ugly, Yo Mama, LOL. Oh boy. All right, we too. There we go. Sorry, I had to change course a little bit there with that, but so Saturday's game, I believe it's going to be. It will be. It's good to see the Tigers have a regular
Job and Paddock.
Yeah,
Right.
Paddock. So that'll be a good matchup too. Paddock against last time he faced the Tigers, no decision, but was pretty good. 5 hits, 1 run on 5 hits, and struck out 6. And this will be the first time Job has faced the Twins in a start, I believe, or I don't think he's ever faced the Twins at all in any capacity. Correct?
Well, he had 2. Job had 2 outings in AAA last year. I don't know if one of them was against St. Paul, but he's never faced the Twins in the big leagues.
And then Sunday it will be. I'm actually looking forward to Sunday's matchup. It will be Casey Mize against Simeon Woods Richardson, who I thought last year was serviceable. That was a solid starter last year for the Twins. One of those guys that just is a good fourth starter, goes out there and you don't know what you're going to get with him, but he was somewhat consistent. So either way, his last start against the Tigers was back on the 2nd of July. No decision there. He allowed 3 runs on 4 hits and struck out 4. So should be a good matchup for the Tigers. As Mize will come into that game with an ERA of 0.77. That's good. That's very good.
Yeah.
So Paddock is Saturday. So and then
Let's
Jake
announce Festa today.
Yeah, they called the Festa today. So
And Paddock has been terrible.
Yeah.
You have to like the Tigers' chances going into this series, given the way they've been playing, given the way Minnesota's been playing. But that's when baseball sneaks up and gets you. Like, we should sweep them, and then nope. But I don't know. I feel pretty good about the Tigers with their pitching rotations whenever.
Yeah.
People can always have a bad outing, and Job is still learning on the job. But you feel like those guys are going to keep them in the game, and the way the offense has been playing, they should be able to string together some good plate appearances and score some runs. It's just matter if they can score more than Minnesota. The classic, hey, can we outscore the opponent? That's how you win.
That's sports for you.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say Hicklin was sent back down, and we haven't seen the corresponding move as of now, right? So we're looking at – I'm just seeing rumors. There's nothing substantial, but I'm seeing rumors that Torres may end up being in the lineup tomorrow. Nothing confirmed.
Didn't they say Friday was the day he's eligible to come back up?
Yes.
So, I would assume it's that. So that would help.
Yeah.
And it will be interesting to see, a lot of people were clamoring to give Colt Keith time off. I'm not one of those. I would keep playing the guy somewhere, but I understand it. If that's what folks are pining for, certainly not sending him back. I don't think it sounded like Hinch has any interest in that. But with Torres back, it does give them, some decisions to make. Who's going to DH and so on. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out.
Yeah.
I think that there was a Twitter fan. Forgive me if I don't know his name. That was talking about let's make sure that we root for Colt when get back, and I'm glad to see that a little bit because there's this visceral and bitterness sometimes about players and even just. By the way, Gleyber Torres, by the way, could play third. But there was a good article, a friend of the show, Nick Spillane, did a guest column for us about why Gleyber Torres should play third. But I think that you can check it out on our website. My whole thing is that the guy is expected to struggle at some point. And the reason why I thought maybe having a day off might help him a little bit. Keith, I don't think Keith at third is not going to happen, Connor. It's just he doesn't have the arm to do it. I just don't we saw it happen in Arizona Fall League. It's just he doesn't have the arm strength. Ever since that shoulder injury, he just does not have it. And I think Keith just give him a day off or two. Let him. But somebody was saying, well, they'll just give him more time to sit and think about it. Not necessarily. Sometimes people just get a day off and they're ready to go back out there. Who knows? But I'm not going to give up on him on April 10th. It is April 10th. It's not June 10th. It's not May 10th, or it's not even May. It's not even May 10th. It's not even. It's this. He sucks. He's terrible. Where?
April.
April.
April out of the D.
April.
The schedule.
I know that the issue of him not hitting the ball in the air more. I get it. There's certain things you can nitpick all you want, but the guy walks. He hits when he can. It's just I don't understand it. I just don't understand it at all. It's just, to me, it's just this amount of, as Chris said perfectly, the amount of just having the ability to have an instant reaction on things is ridiculous. And it's pushing the panic button. Thank you, We2, way too soon.
Here's the thing. 6 months ago, they were on a 31-11 stretch, and then they won 4 playoff games, right? Who was the second baseman?
It's Colt Keith.
Colt Keith. He has not forgotten how to play in the last 6 months. Okay? I'm convinced of this. He's had a couple of bad plays. He had made a mental error in Seattle. He made a couple of physical errors the last couple of days. That's part of baseball, and it's part of being a 20. Is he 23? 22.
Yep.
23. 23-year-old kid. I mean, that's going to happen. But again, as Raj said, it's April 10th. Give it a break. It's good. Let him. I personally, I don't care about the day off. I get him out there and work on getting him back into a groove. People have different opinions on that, and that's fine.
No, the biggest problem is this is just it's reaction bait, and I've been a victim to it all week. But I've just been hearing about it all week. I'll just say on my drives to and from work, there's something in my car that I just keeps talking about how much Colt Keith sucks and that he's terrible and that he's playing for his job and all this other stuff. And I think that drives discourse to a certain extent in this city a little bit.
No, here's the thing. I will. There's somebody. Let's see here. Okay, so I have it right here. I have it pulled up. Steve Cook sent this on our DM. He sent the DM earlier. He said he heard that. I was listening to a certain radio station that I shouldn't say listen to. I know come on, we all know. And some old guy, he said, and this is him. I'm paraphrasing. Some old guy called and said that Keith is a cancer. He knows that he can tell that he doesn't sit next to anyone. He doesn't high five anybody. He's very selfish. I thought it was very, very hard. What the? Are you gonna judge somebody on a bench? What is wrong with you? That is the dumbest thing. Oh, he's a cancer on the team. What do you know? You don't know dick. Get out of here.
Get off our show.
Get off. You know what? Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it wasn't our show.
Get off our show.
I was
fair weather idiot.
That's something I don't know why.
I got a few names I'd like to call him.
There seems to be a desire to there's got to be one person that gets all the ire. I don't know why. We were looking at the other day. The Tigers let Nick Maton fumble around and hit like 170 for almost 80 games a couple of years ago before they sent him down. And that was, they didn't have as good options, but Colt Keith will be fine.
Yeah.
Babe Ruth got caught stealing second to end a World Series. Players make mistakes. These things happen. You got to come back and he'll be fine. Give him the old Darrell Evans, cheer, and yeah.
Well, Stan probably. So Stan said he heard that call, so he said that disagree with that caller. Good. I mean, look, it has nothing to do with Valenti at all. It's just there's some of the caller. Valenti's fine. Just some of the callers call in. I'm just like, I just don't get where the logic comes from. That getting that state, building an opinion in your head, and you're actually going, you know what, this is a good thought. This guy, because he doesn't high five anybody. I watch him intensively on TV, even though they don't show the angles of him on TV all the time. But I know he's not high fiving people.
I think. I mean, it'd be interesting to study the personality of somebody who feels the need to call into sports radio.
There's some people that there's some people that when I don't care. Okay, you know what my biggest pet peeve is? First time caller, long time listener. No one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares. I'm sorry. As a former phone screener myself, because I was just a lonely phone screener, I don't care. Or hey, you remember me? So and so from Melvindale that owns like a pizza place. Cool. It's awesome. And I'm or whatever the case is. I mean, whatever the case is. It doesn't, if you want to celebrity your name, that's cool. That's fine. Mm-hmm. So, you know what? I'll hang up and listen, like I said, I mean, who am I? I'm just a schmuck with a podcast. That's all I am. So what do I care about? But I do like what Jordan said. Jordan Rules TSP here said, I think a bigger worry at some point is they need a right-handed bat. I don't know the status on Verlander, but if he's still out, they need to make an acquisition. Great point, Jordan. Absolutely. I agree with you completely. They do. That's something that we definitely need. The Tigers definitely need to address at some point. So we'll see what that happens. So,
yeah, I mean, if Torkelson is this,
yeah,
that's a pretty big right-handed bat, and Torres comes back, and Vierling comes back, then suddenly, I mean, even if Margot, I don't know where they're going to have room for Margot if all those guys come back, but you got Malloy. Suddenly it doesn't feel that lopsided anymore. But it wouldn't hurt, to go out and get more bats. I'm all for that. It'll be interesting, though, the Twins series. I think we talked about it before. The Twins only have one lefty, right? And it's Danny Colombe. So we may see a lot of we're going to see an awful lot of Carpenter and Green and Keith and
I was just about to say three righty starters. You got to believe Green is licking his chops after facing a lot of left-handed pitching this week.
Yeah.
And same with Carpenter. So hopefully that does lead to some high-scoring games. I think because that'll be in Detroit's favor.
Yeah. Either way. So thank you so much for listening. Again, like and subscribe. So check out Motor if you haven't subscribed to our channel. Please do Motor City Metrics or Tiger Mileage Report. I mean, Motor City. It's embarrassing that we're not at 3,000 subscribers on Tiger Mileage Report. Come on, folks, take 2 seconds. Chris is doing a really good job of cutting things up. I'll be cutting things up. We're putting stuff in there all the time. There's gonna be fresh content. Our Patreon too. We're putting content on Patreon almost every day. I know who's doing the recap tonight. By the way, do you know?
I have no idea. I didn't. Yeah. I've got my live looks. If people want to read that, it's kind of my thoughts on the Whitecaps players last week. It's like a week old now. But I had to cut up a whole bunch of stuff that's going to go up, and you can only see it via Patreon. So
go to Patreon for it's a couple bucks. It helps us support. Right now our GoFundMe is way short, but hey, you know what? It's okay. I just appreciate everybody listening right now. Oh, Colin, thank you, Colin. Yeah, Colin's the man. I forgot. Yeah, Colin is working on the recap right now. So thank you, Colin. So Colin, by the way, if you want to, speaking of articles, really good article, really good work there by Colin on 5 breakout prospects you need to know. He did our version last year and he's doing it again this year. So thank you, Colin. So he is doing the minor league recap tonight. And yeah, so again, Tigers and Twins this weekend. Have a great week, everybody. We'll be back on Monday for the minor league recap, and we'll be recapping the Twins series as well. And stay close, everybody. And I'm trying to find the video to end us because I always scramble like that. Have a good night, everybody.